Hey Apesers, this is sticky notes on chapter 3, pages 73 to 82. Okay, so this is just the last part of chapter 3. Okay, so this part of chapter 3 is going to talk about disturbances, and so there's definitely in College Board, and one of the topics, it's about natural disturbances. And so I do want you to remember that there are a couple different types of disturbances. There's natural, and you need to know examples of those, and there's also anthropogenic examples, and you need to know those. So just again, we're on page 73. So the question is how well does an ecosystem respond when there is a disturbance? We're going to skip this section here on watershed studies. So then go right over here to resistance versus resilience. Not every disturbance is a disaster. Sometimes it's what's needed for that particular ecosystem or that biome and to kind of refresh or restart. So there are two terms that you need to know about: resistance and resilience. Resistance is how well an ecosystem resists the impact of a disturbance. So how much is it going to be affected by a certain disturbance that might come through? If it's a flood, how much is that going to affect this ecosystem? If it's a wildfire, is it going to completely decimate it? Is it going to be able to resist? And of course, if it is able to resist more, then it's going to have higher biodiversity. So then resilience is the idea that an ecosystem can recover. How resilient is it? How well can this ecosystem recover from a disturbance? So yes, there might have been a wildfire, and it definitely did affect that area. Well, how well is it going to recover? How long does it take for it to recover afterwards? The higher the resilience, the better it will be that it can return back to the way that it was. The stronger that ecosystem is, the less impact that disturbance will have. Okay, so important to know that major environmental change or upheaval often results in large areas or swaths, as they say, of habitat changes. And this actually causes wildlife often to move both short and long-term migration. So a lot of times you'll see different wildlife populations migrating to different areas during different times of the year, just based on kind of normal, natural environmental change. So what you need to really understand from this particular page is the intermediate disturbance hypothesis. So this is saying that higher biodiversity is species diversity is the highest when there's a kind of an intermediate or medium amount of disturbance. Rare disturbances, like if there's not enough disturbances and it's just the ecosystem's never disturbed, that seems to just favor the best competitors or the ones who can outcompete others. Doesn't really stress anybody else. If you have a lot of disturbances, that can actually be bad as well, because that eliminates most species that only live can only live in certain conditions. So really, the best biodiversity is going to be found at this intermediate level of disturbance, where neither species is really at an extreme. So this is an important figure, 3.19. Okay, so then it talks about the surfaces, the ecosystem surfaces. And there's two kind of major types: instrumental value and intrinsic value. So the instrumental value is the services that an ecosystem provides that has worth, like as an instrument or a tool. Intrinsic would be worth that's not a direct benefit, like something you can actually touch. It would be something more cultural or morality or beauty. So the four ecosystem services that you need to know according to College Board: provisioning, regulating, supporting, and cultural. You need to know definitions, so what is each type of service, and then you need to know examples of each. Okay, so provisioning, regulating, supporting, and cultural, and you can find all of those here. Though this in the chapter does have resilience, and this is considered part of regulating. So when you come to this section on resilience, just make sure that you add that to the regulating services. And that is it for chapter 3, pages 73 to 80. All right, thanks.